Hello, all of our friends, and welcome to Believe in the Dallas Cowboys. They beat the Giants. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they did. I'm Jeff Cavanaugh. You can hear me on 97.1 The Freaking DFW. This is my friend, and I don't know if this is called work, so I wouldn't call coworker, friend in college. He's just my friend. That's Jesse Holley, former Cowboys wide receiver, who did this one time.
Oh, Jesse Holley went 77 yards. It must be a reality show.
And this celebration is brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. The last of the major pro sports leagues is off and rolling. College basketball is ready to go as well. BetOnline, your top spot for all your live betting action and contests. NFL, college, UFC, NHL. Everything's in full swing, and BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. All your hoops betting action, along with every sport right there at your fingertips, both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today. And remember, use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Jesse, they won.
Yeah, and if you were over on BetOnline and you bet that Brandin Cooks would have over 150 yards and CeeDee Lamb would have 150 yards and Dak would throw over 400 yards and six guys would score touchdowns in this football game, six different guys would score a touchdown in this football game, you probably won a lot of money. You probably won a lot of money if that was your like 5-leg parlay right there.
I like that they got mad a little bit. Little baby KK and I forgot what Greg's nickname is on the commercial, Greg Olson. But they're like, really interesting. They're still throwing the ball. And like they put Cooper Rush in, and McCarthy's like, hell, I'm going to get my backup quarterback some work. We're going to go try to score. So that was highly entertaining to me. They were like, at some point, do you hit the brakes there? I'm like, whatever. Ain't worried about it. That was a nice, relaxing, enjoyable game the way it was supposed to be. And we like it. We both predicted the Cowboys to cover a 16.5-point spread, which is a giant spread, but still, whatever. They were going to score 30 at least, and they weren't going to give up a bunch. And here we are. It's one of those where, yeah, I've got ways to take this, but in a lot of ways, the answer to today for broadcasting is, yeah, they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Congrats.
We talked about it all week. This was we used to call this game the CVS, the Walgreens, the Rite Aid, whoever has a pharmacy, whatever you're looking to get right, whatever deficiencies that you had, whatever ailments that you were plagued with, whatever you just the curl couldn't quite curl all the way over. Offensively or defensively, this was the type of game that you got those things right. What have we been asking for this entire season is like, hey, when is Brandin Cooks going to get things going, right? This is a guy who's been a walking 1,000-yard receiver everywhere that he's been. And for this year, leading into this game, in 8 weeks, he hadn't had over 200 yards total receiving yards. When will we get the running game? When will we see more Rico? When will we see more Tony Pollard? Will CeeDee Lamb continue on the tear that he's been on? Will Dak have a 400? I mean, all the questions that we have. Will the offensive line be able to protect? Every one of those things were answered. And then even the bonus part you got about it also is you got to see flashes from guys like Mozzie Smith on defense. You see a guy like Rashaan Evans who was getting spot plays here and there, get more reps in the game, and he had an impact. DaRon Bland adds his 5th interception and his 10th total interception since he came in the league in 2022. I mean, so you got a chance to see all these little things happen this week. The Giants are just a bad football team right now. They are bad in every which way but right. Coaching is bad, playing is bad, scheme is bad. Wink Martindale, he's for a team that doesn't have the pass rushers, doesn't have the guys on the back end, he spends 50% of the time in man-to-man coverage. And if you want to find a way to get Brandin Cooks going, play man-to-man coverage all day long, just about with DBs who are less than who have less than the ability to stay in front of a guy with that kind of speed. So it was literally just what the doctor ordered. The doctor wrote a prescription on how we were going to fix some of these things. And it's very rare that you have preseason game number 4 and 5 in the middle of the season, but the Cowboys have found themselves in a position where preseason game number 4 against the New York Football Giants happened this past Sunday, and then they'll be headed to Charlotte next week. Well, they'll play preseason game number 5 before they play an opponent that may actually give them a football game in the Washington Commanders.
Can I ask you a question about a get right game like that? And shout out to the get right. And RIP to the get right.
RIP, yeah. Shout out to the get right. RIP to the get right. Shout out to Kevin Rage.
I heard that Friday night was Kevin Gray's final show with the get right, and that he'll announce his plans for the future at some point soon. I can't wait to hear what he's going to do. That's my friend. I love him. He's amazing. He's very good. Yeah. I love you too, Reggie. When you have the get right game, if one thing doesn't go the way that you kind of hoped, do you look at it sideways? And I'll tell you what I'm talking about once you answer my question. If one thing you don't get right with one thing, but everything else did, do we start looking at that one thing sideways?
It depends on what you're going to say on the other side of this question.
Okay.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. Cause I've been eyeball testing it all year. And most people know you are looking at maybe the biggest Tony Pollard fan of all time. Mm-hmm. I mean, is it time to start the Rico and Tony conversation the way we had to? I mean, it took us effing 4 years to get them to actually give Tony the ball enough when Zeke was here. Time to start asking for Rico to get the ball more. 4.5 yards per carry to 3.9. Obviously, things aren't even. You never know how a play is going to be blocked on any given play. Rico tends to, I really feel like a lot of times, get better blocked plays than Tony does. But boy, he runs with some freaking thump, and I do not see the same out of Tony that I'm used to.
It's funny because like you said, we had this conversation for years when it was Zeke, and we were saying, boy, we should sure give Tony Pollard some more snaps. When he comes in, we just don't see that from Zeke like we do when we see when Tony gets in. And now we're saying, boy, we should give Rico some more snaps. We don't see.
But I think it's because he snapped his leg. Like, I think it's more of a, hey, Terrence Steele doesn't look very good. Why not? Because he's coming off injury. And Tony Pollard, Tony's not. I don't think he's the guy he was. And I don't think it's the role. I don't know that he's the guy he was.
I think it's a combination of both, if we're being honest. I think both of those things are true. I think coming off a major injury, and for some reason, I think the general public, I love when doctors say successful surgery. Like, if he doesn't die on the table, it's a success. Like, right? Like,
Jesse, I've been waiting so long in my life for the first story where there's an interview with the doctor and he's like, I got to tell you, not my best. You know, technically it's all back together. I've done a lot better. I don't think he's going to be the same. Yeah. I want that doctor's interview. I can't wait for it, but we haven't heard it yet.
No doctor says that. No trainer ever goes, no rehab guy ever goes like, can't get this one done.
You know, I got his ACL reconstructed, but I accidentally chopped off his patella.
Yeah, like they're never going to say that. And so there is this belief that that, you know, just because you have surgery and the surgery is deemed successful, that person now automatically goes right back to what they were. And it's just not the truth. Anytime you have to cut open and repair what God originally made, you're less than. You just exactly. You have the needs to prove so. It's anything. If you have a car that is fresh off the showroom floor and has been put together, and you get an accident and that car is fixed, it may look like it is all well again, but that car is not whole. It's the same thing with these players. And so we expect these guys, these superhuman people, to come back and bounce back from things that are traumatic. I mean, you're talking about, you know, breaking a bone and ligaments and all that kind of stuff behind you. That has an impact on you. And then you add the fact that there is a new role that he has to play where you're now the guy. You're now the guy that, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally, you're getting all the reps in practice. You're getting all the reps in the football game. And you don't come in spurts. You don't come in spots. You know, a practice schedule can be put out, And sometimes the second running back will get 2 plays out of the 12 in practice, right? In each period, because you want to make sure those ones are getting all the plays, or if there's a specific package that they are running for that backup running back or whoever it is, then those guys will get a chance. But he's not the same. He's not the same. And to your point, when your body's broken, that matters. That matters. But I think and I believe that there should be more of a tandem 1-2 punch, like legit, like you saw it yesterday. Like, I'm not saying that you have to give Rico all the snaps, but Rico shouldn't be getting 2 or 3 snaps a game, right? Like, Rico should be in that 10, 12 range of snaps, and especially, I think, in the goal line. Like, when you get near the goal line, stop getting in shotgun and just line up and give Rico a crack at this. So I think seeing it on film have success, when the coaches go back to, you say, you know what? Maybe we can find a couple more reps for Rico, especially down the stretch where guys begin to tire out a little bit. But I'm with you 100%. Get Rico some more snaps.
Get ready. Next year it'll be Rico and dudes.
It won't be. It won't be.
Baby. Or Rico and Malik Davis. Or Rico and the dude they pick in the 4th round in the 2023 NFL draft.
Deuce will be fighting for a job, like literally hoping to stay on the roster next year.
You can watch your damn mouth when you talk to me. That's one thing you could do today.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Other Cowboy. Now, this is one that I didn't hear because I was watching. So I watched the game at an establishment with people. So I wasn't listening to what the broadcasters were saying very often. But I heard, listening to my friends on the downbeat on 97 on the Freak this morning, that apparently they were talking about Tommy DeVito, and he said that he slept like a baby the night before, and he's like, maybe it's a Jersey thing, huh? Like, I'm tough. And I'm like, you can say you weren't nervous and this was all normal and stuff, but I watched you play. So it's just weird to me. And I just throw this to you because I don't know why, just because you were born and raised in the Northeast, you have to pretend. You have to pretend like there's this level of confidence and arrogance no matter what. Tommy, I watched you play, brother. You were terrified.
Jersey kid you're talking to here.
And the fact that you can't admit it is going to get peeled back in therapy in 10 years. It's okay to be human, brother. You don't got to lie to everybody.
Listen, Tommy DeVito comes from a family, and he probably has uncles who like related to Benny the Butcher. They make people disappear in the part of the town that he's from. A lot of his uncles and grandfathers probably say things like bada bing, bada boom, see you later. You're sleeping with the fishes. Like, you know, all those guys, they got the slick comb back. They drive Cadillacs and they like pasta. Not that we're stereotyping or, any of those things. But, yeah, so, since birth, Tommy's been taught, never show fear. Yeah. Never let them see you sweat, right? And so that he's just doing what Dad taught him to do, what Granddad taught him to do, with Frankie the Fish Man, whatever his guys did. Those guys taught him to do in the back room while they were counting money. So that's all it was. It was just Tommy trying to live on the legacy of his family, the chicken cutlets.
I love chicken cutlets.
Yeah. So come on, we watched the game. We saw that what you say and the actions of what you walk, they're not the same. Which one of these things are not like the other? Which one of these are not the same? Mm-hmm. Your words and your actions. They weren't matching up. But we get it. I get it. As a Northeast Jersey guy, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, Jesse has always believed at all times.
At all times.
2 things real quick. The theme of the game, the show, everything was the get right game. 2 things. Obviously, one that was always going to happen, but it's still great that it did. Brandin Cooks, F&A. They were like, I'll be damned. Today, that MFR is going to get the ball. Down the field, cross the field, round the field. He's going to get the ball. We're going to get this crap on track. They're not very good. Throw it to him. Make it work. And they did. That's good. And when they knew they had already won and they had accomplished the Brandin Cooks, because there's a difference here. Brandin Cooks being on track is part of the ultimate goal. Like, we'd love to have more than one wide receiver kicking ass. So we got to get Brandin Cooks on track and figure out what we're going to do here. Okay. Got it. Sweet. Then one, I believe, was a friendship moment, because once they had established, okay, everything we thought we were going to be able to pull off, we can, and they're not good, and this is over. Dak was like, okay, I got to find a single coverage for my friend Michael Gallup, and I have to throw one to him, and please God, we need to catch it, because he needs it and I need it for him because he's my friend. And so he got his touchdown, and that was great. But the one that was a little bit of an eyebrow raise, and I had to go back and see how early it was, but it was early. I mean, there's another dude in the mix for taking Michael Gallup snaps, because Jalen Brooks wasn't playing in garbage time. Jalen Brooks was playing early.
Yeah.
They said, hey, let's take a look at the other dude that we liked in camp that we think has got something, because we got an extra candidate to start taking some Gallup snaps, and Jalen Brooks was in there early getting some balls.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, Michael Gallup has seen his role, and I'm not going to lie, maybe rightfully so, has seen his role become reduced to fourth quarter reps in a blowout. Because Jalen Brooks got in there early and got a catch. You see way more Jalen Tolbert. He's in the mix. And you're right. It was at the end of the game, it was like, let me throw my boy YOLO balls just to give him a little bit of confidence, say, hey, I'm sorry what's happening to you is happening to you, but I still love you. So, he threw him one up. But, we asked for it, and it's happening because we see the writing on the wall, and this team has to get going. They have to find other weapons and other things to get going if they're going to have success in the playoffs at the end of the season. And just Michael Gallup just hasn't been the guy. And very, very few times you're going to get that type of defense where you can just kind of YOLO one up for your boy to go get a touchdown. But and another friendship thing to add on to your friendship bracelet give out, kudos to Mike McCarthy to realize heading into the fourth quarter that CeeDee Lamb was 8 yards away from breaking the NFL record of 3 straight games of 10-plus receptions at over 150 yards or more, and said, you know what, CeeDee, I hear him. Go back in there with Cooper Rush, and we're going to throw it to you 2 times in a row, and then we're going to get you out of there. And while it may seem like nothing, that really does go a long way in the locker room. When a coach recognizes that players have records that need to be broken. Now, if the game is tighter, if CeeDee is still in the game, and that it'll happen anyway, right? Because Dak's still in the game, you got to win the game. But to see that, for Mike McCarthy to recognize that and go, you know what? Yeah, go ahead, go get the record. That was another thing that players will look at and go, all right, coach, we see you, we appreciate you. But before we go, we do have to look at one little messy situation that may be brewing. Yeah. And this is the new wave of how people express themselves, which I don't understand, because the coach's office are right down the hallway, and if you feel some kind of way, especially if you're a star player, you can always just walk down there and talk to those people. But when you get on social media and you start doing some liminal things, last couple of weeks ago we had Sam Williams say, "Free me." Well, Sam Williams went out on the internet last night and he put a post and said, forget freeing me, I'll just break the cage down. And here's where it gets messy. Because star, linebacker, rush, player, alien person, Micah Parsons comes back and says, well, hell, if they're not going to free you, let them free me. And so I feel like this Micah Parsons getting a little salty mode. You saw him, I don't know if you saw this last night at the establishment you were at, but you were watching the game. You saw multiple times the camera panned to Micah Parsons on the sideline. He has he's like this sitting there upset, frustrated. And I get it. You want to go ahead and pad your stats and things aren't just happening for you in that manner. And you're looking across the league and you're saying, boy, they're talking about Max Crosby. They're talking about Myles Garrett. They're talking about TJ Watt. Nick Bosa's into the conversation again. And my name is not being talked about amongst those guys. I'm probably going to be runner-up again or number 3 again in the Defensive Player of the Year category, because honestly, at the end of the day, they look at who has the most sacks at the end of the year. Whoever has the most sacks or whoever has like a 10-plus type of interception thing, you get into that conversation. And Mike is probably looking around and saying, I'm not getting that love. I'm not getting that love. It's my contract year. how I would love to be the defensive player of the year heading into my contract year. Will definitely solidify that I'll be the highest paid player in the National Football League. But I think there's a little bit of saltiness, a little bit of sazon that's happening on the land of Micah Parsons.
I don't want to watch and track that, Jesse. I don't. No, I'm just going to assume it's going to be fine. I just think that's Micah's face. Micah's face is always.
I take the action and the words, and I see if they line up. When you see the face and the lack of the productivity as far as sack wise, and then you see the subliminal shots online, which is highly unnecessary. You didn't have to say that about what Sam Williams said, but you took it upon yourself to jump on the internet. And who knows? In Micah's podcast, he may say something tonight in his podcast about his lack of productivity and how he wants to kind of be unleashed and freed like Sam Williams did at one point in time. But I don't know. I'll keep track of the
you track that one. Yeah, you track that one because I like to assume we won. Yeah. Everyone's happy. Everyone's super thrilled. Everybody's on the same page. Here we go.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
No, you're not. We are presented by BetOnline, and we are believing the Dallas Cowboys, and we love you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening or watching or whatever. Remember, you have no idea what anyone's going through, so be cool to everyone. We love you. Be easy.
Eliminate the contingencies.